Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your other Shorty, and today, carrying on with a bit of a sci-fi theme. Yes, public domain was actually just real people, but so far this week we're going quite heavy on it, so we're going to carry on with 1313 Promethee. I love this cover, by the way. I love how simple and bold it is. It's a bit frustrating getting a picture of it in a good angle where the light is not just going to shine off it, but actually expose what's going on. But it is great. I love it. It grabbed me straight away. Also, didn't realize when I picked this up that it's based on the work of another writer, Christoph Beck, I believe he's called, who, from what I can gather, doesn't write in English. Explains why I have not seen any of their work, but they're quite prolific and seem to have a lot of people loving them on Goodreads. So I imagine they don't need any help from me by telling the world how great they are. And we're going to get talking in a bit about like the whole conspiracy theory and science fiction kind of elements and what that kind of can and can't do within this comic book. But start about the artwork, which is Martin. Oh, hang on, I may have got the no Sean Martinbrough, who appears to be listed as just the only artist. There's a colorist as well, but no inker. And that made me smile a little bit because there's lots of really heavy ink work in this one. Really bold lines, an absolute willingness to overindulge in shadow work, and I love it. I think it's really effective. There's sequences of alien attack which look brutal and brilliant because they are just tinged with reds and greens and golds, but for the most part it is just a really overwhelming blackness. Very, very cool artwork. Even the more human level stuff, which isn't necessarily the most engaging, shall we say. There feels like there isn't much of like a huge push for photorealism, but also not a really push for stylistic choices either. It feels like the human characters are just very, very well done, but he's concentrating on some other things, and I am down with that. Because then we get onto the idea of the conspiracy theory and how you approach that in a comic book. Because one of my favorites at the moment is Department of Truth, which risks off the idea of the conspiracy theory being something which is used and weaponized by the governments and people in power against people below them, or against their enemies in different governments and different positions of power. And that's a really interesting thing to do. There's a reason why Department of Truth is absolutely well read, because it really does get under the skin of how people are affected by these kind of theories. This appears to be going in a different direction, and it's one that I do like, but I think because it's going more concentrating on the huge over-the-top nature of what would happen, alien invasion-esque kind of thing, that sometimes I feel like it's not giving as much time to the individual characters involved. Not to say they don't get any time. There is some rather nice little moments, some very well written dialogue between the various characters, background or foreground or other, and it is building up who these people are within this greater world. But there is a sequence of a flashback of one of the characters saving a frog that's been tortured by a bunch of kids, and that little bit of background to the characters is only a couple of pages, whereas an alien invasion, which may or may not have actually happened, gets far more time and attention. And here we get to the bit that actually is my favorite bit about this comic book, for the most part. There is a sense that we don't know what's going on yet. For all the build-up we've been getting and all these ideas of somebody who, as a child, thought they were abducted, but turns out they were on medication and it was antipsychotic and they're actually fine and there is no early invasion. She then gets antipsychotics taken off her and starts believing again that there might be an alien invasion, and this whole conspiracy around the fact that they believe that she is right and at a certain point aliens are going to invade. And that's very cool. I like the idea that we're still left a little bit of a loose end on that one. There's also, as I say, the page after page of really cool looking alien invader stuff, tied with writing that it seems to be biblical in nature. I don't know my Bible well, I'm not 100% sure on it. Certainly it could be easily interpreted as such. And it's spectacular. Great action sequences, really nice character design. Again, the coloring and the inking is just brilliant. And there's a little bit where there's people going to the ISS to drop something off, and there's a conspiracy about what it is they're taking and what it actually means, and the fact they're willing to put explosive devices to make sure nobody else can get hold of it. But there's a little bit where I think the pilot thinks he's seen something out the window on the space shuttle when they're in orbit, and it's like, oh no, it's probably just light reflecting off an ice chunk. But there's a little bit of artwork where you can see something which does look manufactured. It doesn't look organic or natural, and it's like that's the only bit that makes me think there might be something more going on. I kind of like the idea though that for this entire first issue, we're seeing things where we don't know if they're real. They're apparently visions of things that could happen or may be about to happen, but we don't know. And we don't know if what people are seeing is real. We don't know if the medication has anything to do with it, or if it is a psychological problem with brain chemistry or anything like that. I like the idea that this first issue could have just been left completely open to interpretation in the way that all good art should be. But that little bit of artwork behind the space shuttle, it's a little kind of like a frame, as it were, of a video shot and captured, makes me think that they are committing to there being something. And I want it to stay vague just a little bit longer. But it was still a beautiful comic book. That's it from me today and this week. I'll be back on Tuesday. Until then, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.